Okay, so if you turn on the news, you'll hear something like inflation is down, the economy is recovering, the cost of living pressures are easing. Um, but then you go to the supermarket and your shopping bill is likely higher than last month. So, what's going on? Why does the data say one thing, but real life is completely different? Well, here we go. So, today we're going to have a look beyond the headlines to expose the real cost of living. So, basically, what are the headlines saying? Well, let's start with those. So, governments and central banks, they measure inflation using something called the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index. So, they'll tell you that inflation is down, things are improving. But here's the catch: the CPI is an average, and it's an average across hundreds of products and services, like many thousands, in fact. And it includes things that most people aren't buying every week. It might be things like luxury tech, it could be things like holidays abroad, or it could be very, very niche services that simply aren't used by many people. But all of these are taken into account. So when they say that inflation is down, it might be true on paper, but that doesn't reflect the cost of things like your rent, your groceries, or your energy bill. It simply doesn't. And this means that there is a massive disconnect with reality. So here's the brutal truth: things like essentials, which are your food, your housing, your fuel, they are rising far faster than the headline number for inflation suggests. Don't be fooled. I'll give you an example. Supermarket basics like bread, milk, pasta, these things, they have seen double digit price hikes in a single year. I go shopping twice a week to take advantage of bargains, and I can tell you now, 100%, things that I buy all the time, like peanut butter, like eggs, like steak, things like that, they've gone up. Some of them, in actual facts, have gone up over £1 in a single year. And it's crazy. It is unsustainable. But also, energy bills, they spiked, then they dropped slightly, but they are still way above where we were just a few years ago. And part of this, I think, is tactical. It's basically a test of tolerance. So the energy companies know that you need energy. Let's just say that your bill is £1,500 a year for electric. They know that if they push that up 25%, you're going to moan, but you'll have to pay it because you need electricity. So your bill goes up to 2 grand a year. Then there's a cut. The cut might bring it down to 1850, and 1850 then becomes the new baseline. It becomes the new normal. Your tolerance for what you're willing to pay has now reset from 1500 a year to 1850, and you feel like you're getting a good deal when it's 1850. It's psychological warfare. The same things have happened with food, with rents, and it's all basically us being cheated. So the system is telling you things are easing. Um, your wallet is definitely telling you otherwise, and if you're in the know, you should see that you are getting absolutely shafted. So why do they do it this way? So why the difference? Well, because official numbers are designed to calm the public and also, of course, to please investors. Most of this is for the investors. It's not to reflect your weekly shop. Politicians, they need the data to look better than it feels. Otherwise, why would you want them to be politicians? Why would you want them in power? It keeps the narrative under control. Don't worry, we're fixing it. We've got it in hand. Think about what's happening with New Labour at the moment, with Rachel from Accounts and how she's made a complete pig's ear and created another 40 billion in terms of a black hole that was only 20 billion at one point. And that's if it's even that. That's if those figures are legitimate figures. What's the betting that it's actually much more and it's being ghosted? Basically, if the politicians and the government were to admit any of this and admit the real cost of living crisis, if they showed that the essentials are climbing way beyond wages, people would panic. There would literally be a fire sale on everything. And people would probably also pull their money from the banks and start banging it into gold. So it's done partly under greed and partly under public control. But we've got to remember that there is a real human impact to all of this. And this is where the headlines really fail, because they don't show the human side. They don't show families, and I mean millions of families in the UK choosing between heating and food. And that's a real problem. They don't show workers taking second jobs and burning themselves out, leading to physical and mental illness, just to be able to stand still, let alone to advance their life in any way. They're working extra jobs to stay stagnant because the alternative is moving backwards and probably losing everything. They don't show the mental health toll of these constant financial pressures. So it's not about numbers. It really is about survival for most people. And I've been in that position myself as well. So I'm not speaking from an ivory tower here. So what can you do? What can we do? What can anybody do? Well, what you need to do is you need to realize when the official story doesn't match reality. So the first thing you need to do is to stop trusting headlines. Most of it's bullshit. Most of it's spin. Most of it is just designed to keep you in a certain mindset, or to be provocative and promote a certain mindset. But basically, you need to track your own cost of living. You need to write down your own actual bills, your own actual shopping, your actual rent. That's the truth that matters. What are you paying? What are your numbers? Know your numbers. Then the second thing that you need to do is to cut costs based on your reality. What works for you? Don't go by government averages and spin. If food is killing your budget, focus your energy there. If rent is too high, explore alternatives. Even if it means moving to a different house or a different area or downsizing or whatever it is, do what needs to be done. The third thing that you can do is you can protect your future by refusing to play their games, and you need to build skills, create extra income, save where possible, not because the government says things are better, but because you know they're not, and you don't want them to get any worse for you. So the conclusion really here is that the reality is quite simple. The headlines are written to reassure. They're written to placate you and to keep you in a mindset, in a rut. But your life, your bills, your reality, that's the only truth that matters. You're the only one that's living your life with its ups, its downs, and its possibilities. So don't let averages and sound bites bind you to what's really happening. You know, you need to be able to sit back and see it clearly. Even if you can't break free, you still need to see it and understand it for what it is. So, look, what are your thoughts on this? What would you do in this position? And also, what have you done to escape? What have you done to get out of the real cost of living? Do you believe the headlines? Do you believe that the media and the government and anybody else involved in this narrative actually has our back? Or is it just spin and hyperbole that's used to keep us a pawn, keep us in position for companies to profit and governments to stay in power? Drop it in the comments and let me know. YouTube is going to put another video somewhere around there. Obviously, like, follow, subscribe. That'd be massive. And ring the bell. All that jazz. Goldman, peace out.